Wonderful. Wonderful. Oh, truly amazing. I think young Abdulaziz has got a couple of questions. I know we're approaching almost, I think it's
Oh,
45 minutes into the session.
I'm
Uh,
fine. I'm fine answering their questions. I'm good with
okay,
time. So,
wonderful. Abdulaziz, would you like to ask James some questions?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My question is about the deaths in the series, specifically Teresa at the very end of the trilogy. That moment hit so hard because we spent 3 books with her and mentally marked her as one of the main characters just to see her at the final moments. Dead. My real question is, was that decision made to serve the story and complete Holmes's emotional arc? Or was there also a part of you that thought, I need to make my readers feel this, because I can tell you, we felt it in the deepest folds of our hearts.
yeah, that is a great question, Abdul Aziz. First, I just want to thank you for all your emails and all the hard work you did to make this happen. You were so kind in the emails and so understanding. Yeah, definite round of applause for you. Um, that's a great question. The Maze Runner has quite a few deaths, quite a few, probably more than any other series I've ever written or would ever write, has more death in it. And this was planned from the beginning because I just knew that the world of the Maze Runner and the world outside the maze is just a tough, brutal, terrifying world. And I really wanted to show that. And the odds of all of this group of people making it through the maze and making it through the scorch and making it to the city of Denver and making it through all these cranks and all these terrible humans that are also in the world, I just knew that that was not really feasible and that it wouldn't feel genuine to have all those people survive. So again, when I go back to how important characters are, I poured a lot of effort into making these characters feel real. And of course, if a character feels real and then they die, that can pull out a lot of emotion. And, without spoiling it, we definitely alluded to a certain death toward the end of the third book that has kind of taken on a life of its own. It's really funny. I'll have people come to book events and they'll have made a shirt that says that character's name on it.
Right.
And they'll come up to me at my signing and they'll give me a really mean face and they'll be like, "Why did you do it? Why did you do it?" And I'll kind of smile and then they'll say, "Oh, I'm just kidding. You're my favorite author. I love you," or something like that. But it kind of took a life of its own. And I always tell people, if that death in that book was so hard on you, then that shows the power of storytelling. That someone who doesn't exist came to mean something so much to you that you were devastated when they died. The other thing I'll say about it is I very purposely had certain character die at the end of the first book. And it was a young character, and a lot of people give me grief over his death too, but that was a very, very planned, specific thing, because in the first book, if you have a character that in any other book in the world, I would think, okay, this character's young, he's funny, he's cute, he's kind of everybody's mascot. If he can die, if James will let this guy die, then for the rest of the series, we know that nobody is safe. So in book 2 and book 3, if you've fallen in love with a certain character and you saw that this other character already died, you'll think, well, my character's not safe either. And that just really builds the suspense, because in all those scenes in the second book and all the scenes in the third book, you have that added layer of suspense that, man, I remember James killed off that one character. Nobody's safe. And I think it just adds a lot to it. And that's why I had that death at the very end of the first book. So I don't know if I answered your question, but it does. I plan it out. I put a lot of thought into it. And it's hard on me too when some of these characters end up dying. So, but I think it's great to have that emotion pulled out of us. I've had readers tell me that in a very small way, but in a small way, it prepared them for maybe a death in their real life. They've been through it in a story, and it kind of prepared them a little. I've had people tell me that. So you don't want to overdo it. Like in other books I've written, I've tried really hard not to have people die. Just so that, that whole thing about repetition. I don't want to just become the guy who kills a lot of people in his books. So it was more of a specific choice for that world of the Maze Runner, is what I would say.
Perhaps a follow-up question from Abdulaziz's one. I mean, what were the biggest challenges you faced while writing The Maze Runner?
Yeah, a lot of challenge. I think the biggest challenge, especially as, I wrote the original 3 books, and then I wrote 2 prequels, and then I'm writing, I have this sequel series. My biggest challenge by far has been keeping things consistent so that something in one book doesn't contradict a thing in another book. And so, I had my editor and my wife and friends help me with that. I'm sure there's probably some mistakes in there, but we tried really hard to make everything consistent and tie in with the other books. So hopefully we did a good job with that.
Wonderful. Abdulaziz, any other further questions?
Yes, one last question. As I am writing a book and many students, other students are writing a book, we reached the point that we wanted to ask, what is the realistic path to getting published through a literary agent?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's a huge question. I mean, yeah, it's fun to write a book, and, it's a very solitary activity. We're usually by ourselves, or at least focused on ourselves when we're writing a book. But then that doesn't do you any good if you can't get it published, right? And have people read it like you want people to read it. So my biggest advice, there's kind of 3 parts to it. First off, doing things like what we're doing right now are very important. You guys organize this club. You're able to get all these people to come and join us. Networking and just getting to know other people who are like you and who also write is a huge part to eventually getting published, because you never know who you'll meet or who you'll become friends with that might know somebody who knows an agent, And then also attending, I assume that you have lots of events over there, like writers' conferences, or a lot of times something like a Comic-Con will have lots of classes on writing at the Comic-Con. Because writing is usually a part of almost, any kind of fantasy fair, or there's just lots of events like that where you can go and meet other people who are also writers. And sometimes you can meet agents and editors of those things. So that's one part of it, is just kind of being brave and putting yourself out there for stuff like this, where like-minded people are gathered. The second thing I'll say is that I really do believe it's important to have an agent. Maze Runner is now in 47 languages. It's all over the world. And that just absolutely never would have happened without an agent. And I'll tell you how to get an agent here in a second. But some people go solo. They don't think they need an agent. They don't want to, give an agent their percentage. And I've seen a lot of people like that struggle. But especially if it starts going into other languages or other countries, I mean, that's just not something that I would have even had the slightest clue how to do that, I'm not going to pick up a phone and say, hey, is China there? Yeah, hey, China, do you want to publish my book? I had no idea how to do that. So then the big question becomes, of course, how do you get an agent? And that is, it's a hard process. I have a whole stack of rejection letters from when I was trying to get my stuff out to agents, and I had plenty of people reject me. And you just accept that's part of the game, and you use that as motivation. But luckily, in today's world, it's a lot easier than it was 20 years ago. You can sit down and use Google or ChatGPT or whatever it is and say, who are 10 really good agents that represent the kind of book I'm writing. And then usually you can go to that agent website and they'll just have a link where you can send them, a little letter and maybe like the first 3 chapters of what you've written. And pretty safe bet that they'll look at it and respond to you. So to take that big step, you just got to do some research, start sending queries out. That's what, we always call them query letters. And just start accepting rejections as part of the game. And someday you'll, in 3 chapters, you can really show someone how good of a writer you are. And so if they read those 3 chapters and they think, man, this guy or this girl has a lot of potential, you'd be amazed at how often they'll reach back to you and say, hey, can you send me the rest of that book? I want to see how it ends and see if it stays strong. So, there's no magic formula or golden secret or anything, but it's definitely doable. It just takes a little time researching and then sending things out and having the guts to send those things out.
Wonderful. I mean, which brings me on to the point of Miss Marissa. I think she's been instrumental with allowing us to connect ourselves with you. And I think, a big shout out to Marissa tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for her, I understand she's your agent.
Yes.
We wouldn't have been here today. So, Marissa, if you're listening, thank you very much for arranging this today.
Yeah, if she's not on here, I'll make sure she hears that message.
Much appreciated.
And I'll say, Abdulaziz, when your book comes out, I'm going to be the first one to buy
it.
Thanks a lot.
So keep writing, man. Keep writing.
Your words and works motivate me.
Good.
So just to conclude, James, I mean, I guess some farewell advice to our young students here tonight, ranging from middle school to up to upper school, grade 12s perhaps are here tonight. What advice would you give to these young students, considering that social media is a big disturbance in today's society? How do they get around becoming writers and publishers or publishing their books?
Yeah. My advice to you is to, in a specific sense, really, I did this with my son. He really wants to be a writer. And I told him, for at least 1 month, set a goal that every day you will write at least one paragraph. And that sounds so simple, but just for 1 month, try to write at least one paragraph every day. And he did that. And most days he'd write that one paragraph and then get into it, and he'd end up writing 3, 4, or 5 pages. But then if there was a day he wasn't really in the mood, didn't have the creative juices, he may just write that one paragraph. But I think set some specific goals so that you're making sure that you're just doing the act of writing. And then the other stuff is just, it sounds simple, it sounds maybe cliche, but you have to make it fun. Make sure you're not worrying about so many things every single time you write that it takes the fun away. Just write, and you have the beauty of always going back to be able to edit. So just write, have fun. And then the final thing I'll say is you just can't give up. So I got rejected, and that is not a good feeling. But I just didn't give up, and I kept trying. And so I would just set that as a mantra or something. Just every 10 rejections I get, I'll go out and get ice cream or something. I'll actually celebrate that I've gotten 10 more rejections, because it shows that I'm not giving up. And if you just keep working on your writing and have fun with it, and then edit it and try to make it as good as you possibly can, and you combine that with never giving up, no matter how many rejections you get, I'm telling you, you have a very good chance of getting published.
Wow.
I'm rooting for you.
Wonderful. Wonderful advice, James. Thank you very much. I've got one last question, if I may. It's a bit of a personal one. And that's
okay.
that is, what's your favorite book?
Oh, my favorite book of all time? Well, my favorite author is Stephen King. I'm a huge fan of Stephen King. And so I'll pick one by him, which is probably my favorite. It's called The Stand. Have you heard of that?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, The Stand by Stephen King is probably my favorite book. It's one of the few books I've read more than once. And if I had to choose a second place, it would be the book Dune. Dune, where the movies they're making.
Okay. Yep.
So I love Dune too. So those are my two favorite books. What about you? What's your favorite?
Oh, very, very good question.
It's hard, huh? It's hard to just pick one.
It is hard. I would probably perhaps say Of Mice and Men.
Oh, okay.
Going back.
Yeah. That's
many
a powerful
years.
book. Yeah,
It is
a powerful book. Yeah. Makes you think.
It definitely does. James, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure tonight having you here.
Thank you.
It's been a true honor. I hope that we can have you in person here in the kingdom in the near future.
That would be amazing.
And we're going to make that happen. We're going to make that happen with a huge event. So we'll stay in contact. I want to thank Abdulaziz again for all his hard work that he's done at the Author Club, which is a club at the school that he's started. Bless him, and he's doing a fantastic job. And all of the audience here tonight that have come out so late. I know it is approaching, well, it's just gone past 9:30 p.m. here, James. So all these guys are still up here, eager, listening to you and your wonderful advices and how you made it as a writer. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it, and I wish all of you luck and hope that happens. It would be so amazing to visit your kingdom. So keep in touch.
Make it happen. We will definitely stay in touch.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks a lot, James. Bye now.